Live looping is an incredibly creative way to make music that allows you to perform it live, hence the name, building the song part by part. It also teaches you a lot about arrangement and forces you to make creative decisions fast. So today we'll be showing you my very basic and minimalistic live looping setup that I use to make my live looping videos, which I do in a couple of different ways. Alright, so let's start with the easier option or easier setup, which is a looper pedal. I personally use a TC Electronics Ditto looper. It's a great little looper that allows me to record up to 5-minute long loops, and to be honest, I haven't reached the limit of how many layers I can add, so I can't really tell you. Anyway, it's brilliant and cheap creative tool, wonderful for practicing, and you guessed it, live looping. So my guitar goes straight into the pedal board with a Ditto looper at the end of the chain, which consequently goes straight into my amp or my DAW, depending on the situation. So when I do guitar-only types of loops, I always try to think of different layers as different instruments. If you haven't watched my video about how to make your guitar parts groovy, I would recommend you to watch that, just to get the basic idea. It's very easy to just strum some chords into a looper and solo over those, and it's a great way to practice, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm trying to come up with something more interesting, I would challenge myself to start with a bass line, or a little repeating melody, or an arpeggio, or even just strumming rhythm with muted strings. And I would do that even if I know the chord progression I will be playing around with. So what it actually does, it forces you to come up with a part that will work and correspond with the previous part, which will consequently suggest the rhythmic part for your chords. Maybe you don't even need to play the full chord, maybe just a couple of notes. Maybe you don't need to play them at all, because all these other parts build the harmony really nicely. But as I said, this will be suggested by the loop you built already. By the way, this is all not to say that you cannot start your loops with chords, but if you want to challenge yourself, this is a good way to get creative. Now, if we want to have more instruments in our live looping songs, like bass, synths, more guitars, drums, etc., we will need some tools for this. And my current tool of choice is Arturia Minilab Mark II. This little keyboard has 8 pads that can be extended to 16 digitally that allow me to control Ableton without the need of touching a mouse. So the actual setup is not that difficult. I simply plug in my Arturia to my MacBook, open Ableton, press and hold Shift and press pad 8 to engage the Ableton preset for this MIDI keyboard. If you want to have access to more customizability, you will have to download the application called Midi Control Center that will allow you to change functions of certain keys as well as change the colors of your pads if you want to do that. Each pad is assigned to a channel, so if I press pad number 4, the clip and the channel 4 will be triggered. I have access to different channels and different scenes by using knobs 8 and 16. So the only thing I changed to this preset was to use the pads from 9 to 16, which is the second digital row of these pads for arm to record button. So what I do is I press this button here, and then I go into my Ableton project, and press Midi over here, and then I would assign each arm to record track for each channel with the allocated pad. So whenever I'm recording, I would just press the pad on the top again, then would choose the channel I want to record. For instance, I want to record bass, which is on the channel 3, so I would press the pad 3, so the track is armed now, press it to pad at the top again, and now if I press the pad number 3 again, the clip on the scene that's selected will get triggered. So now I get to record the bass line. And if I want to stop, I press it again. And then it's just going to loop it. So every time I'm making a decision what kind of instrumentation I want to have in my song, I would move things around within the template, but the basic principle stays the same. As you can see, it's really simple. I won't go into too much details on how looping in Ableton works, but Arturia's products integrate with the Ableton system really well, so it's quite easy to set it up. So this is my simple live looping setup. If you have any specific questions about it, please leave them below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.